10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RXMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician Chris Aceto on this March 11th, 2019 afternoon. And Chris, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm survived the week post Arnold because I was like exhausted. But when I came home, you know, you can't be exhausted with the family.
You gotta suck it up.
Yep, you gotta suck it up. So I pretend that they're getting ready for the show.
Yeah. You know what?
No.
You and I were talking before the show about psychosomatic illness.
Yeah.
And all, and how your father, my father, always created all these crazy things. And I told you how my son takes after my father. I just remembered this. My son's first day of school is Monday, which I guess was tomorrow for us because we're recording on Sunday, but it's the same day as the show. And he has been creating illness all day long for himself. As a matter of fact, he somehow even manifested a slight fever in all this. He hasn't eaten anything all day. He's totally acting like my father. He's pretending like he's all excited about school, but he's really not, He's complaining about his mouth hurts and this hurts and no consistency in anything he's reporting either. So,
he knows he can get sympathy.
Yeah. Well, no, I think he's so stressed out about it, even though he's pretending he's excited about it, that he's creating. He's trying to find a way out of going tomorrow.
Well, when I was in December, when I was in Miami, my 5-year-old turned to me and said we were walking back from the playground, and it was a long walk.
Yeah. And
he stopped, and he looked limp, and I said, "You okay? You okay?" He said, "I'm okay." I said, "You don't look okay." He said, I'm okay." He said, I said, "I'll carry you." He said, "Oh, I can walk. And I said, No, I'll carry you." So I carried him like a long way. Right. And then 2 days later, he said, "Hey, Dad, remember that day you carried me?" He said, "I was just pretending because I was too tired to walk."
Oh my God, that's great. I love it. You can't make that stuff up.
No, you can't.
It's a great story.
So the little kids, they can be actors.
And you remembered that too. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah. I
like that. So you, Chris, I got to bring this up because I love these stories, the coincidental stories. Chris sends me this picture of, and he tells me, "Look who I ran into in the supermarket."
Oh.
Tell the story. Who you ran into?
I go into the grocery store because for one item. I don't go to the grocery store much. I don't even know what the prices cost. And so I have instructions for my wife to go get collard greens. Actually, for my mother-in-law.
Okay. Typical Southern dish, right?
Yeah,
from Atlanta,
And so I go into the grocery store and I make a beeline for the produce section. First, I do a Troy Alves because I don't go in there. I say, "Here's Troy." The minute he walks through the store, he'll ask a customer, "Can you tell me where the produce is?" He's so lazy. I criticize him. I do the same thing. I walk through the door. I said, "Where's the produce section?"
You don't want to waste a single second.
Yeah. So I scurry over there, and I look at the collard greens, and they don't look like collard greens. And I look at them, and I don't know the price of them. And I look, and they don't look awfully big. They look limp.
Right.
So I get one, I get two, I get three, I get four. They're $2.99 a pound, and they say organic collard greens.
Oh, organic. That's why you were paying more.
So I go on the checkout, and I'm thinking, gosh, I think I've seen my mother-in-law cook them, and when they go into the pot, this doesn't look like much. So I tell the cashier,
because you're going to get home, they're going to yell at you and tell you to go back.
Yeah. So, and I think I'm overbuying in the first place, but when I get up there, I think, wait a minute, this doesn't look like much. So I tell the cashier, "Can I leave these right here? And I'm just going to run and go get some more collard greens." So I go right back to the spot, and I hear, "Hey, boy, come over here," and you save $1 a pound on regular collard greens. I look, it's Tony Atlas.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And he says, nobody knows about collard greens like me. I grew up in the South. You don't know what you're doing. So I laughed.
Total Cedric.
So I laughed my ass off. I go over to him, and he high fives me, and we talk, and he gives me a hug, and I go, Tony, let's take a picture. And immediately his winter jacket comes off. He's got tank top on.
Yeah, I saw the picture. I was going to ask you. I said it's fucking Maine. He's got a tank top on in the supermarket
under his winter jacket.
That's like me. I can't.
So he asked. Wait, it gets better.
He still has. By the way, he still has 20-inch arms. How old is he?
Oh God, dude, come on. When we were kids, he was.
Is he 70?
I don't know.
He legitimately has a 20-inch arm still.
Oh, of course. And I wish I had not a picture of me and him, which I posted up on Instagram, but a picture of the person who's taking the picture. He grabs this little old lady. He goes, "Hey, ma'am, can I bother you to take a little picture of me and Chris here?" And she goes, "Yeah." That's when he whips the jacket off. And he goes, and she takes it. And he goes, "Oh wait," he goes, "I wasn't flexing."
The funny thing is that I thought Robbie Robinson was in great shape for 7 years old. Robbie, is shredded, but Tony Atlas is huge still.
Yeah, he's huge. Big arms, big delts, tiny waist, low body fat.
And you said he still
walks
works
well.
out, right?
He walks well. I mean, he'd go. You think somebody we know bodybuilders like who's.
I don't walk well.
Well, there you go.
I got a torn quad. Hold on, let's look this up. Let's look up Tony Atlas. 1954. So what does that make him?
64, 74, 85, 94, 204, 214, 66. Something like that. 65.
So do
you know who he beat at the? He was. Do you know he beat Lee? He was the last person to beat Lee Haney when Lee is an amateur.
Really? He's 64. I didn't know that. You probably told me before, and I'm probably saying this for the fourth time. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he beat him at the. I forget what it was, but after that show, Lee went into the Nationals.
Do you know what his nickname was?
Tony's.
No. Yeah, Tony's the nickname.
Tony Atlas. It's on the tip of my tongue.
The Black Superman.
I knew it. Was it the Black Superman?
That's his name. That's what it says here.
I
on
wish
Wikipedia.
He'd probably say, "I didn't like that. Vince gave me that, and I told Vince."
He also had another alter ego, the Samba Simba.
Mm-hmm.
Saba
Yes,
Simba.
he did.
Saba Simba. Yeah.
It's a tag team champion with The Rock's father.
Yeah, it's true. Unbelievable. Still training. He looks good. He does.
He does.
He looks great.
Coleman workout. He does chest, shoulders, try, back by legs, then repeats it. Plus, he does neck and forearms.
And he's probably been 100% natural, for
years.
20
yeah.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love genetic freaks. It makes me feel so inadequate, but I love it anyway.
He'll tell you he'll give you this little anabolic program that's like tidbits. It's like nothing. It's a joke.
It's like a half a cc of suspension like three times a week.
It's nothing.
You know what the funny thing is? When I started working out in the gym, and I would see guys like him in there, huge, just probably look like that from their whole life, and I'm thinking to myself, am I maybe deluding myself into believing that I could actually look like that one day?
Yeah, but you followed through on the delusion.
Yeah, I did, and I convinced myself of it, and I actually achieved it. But it's the amount of work that I had to put into doing what I was doing, probably compared to the amount of work that he had to do to look like he did, was probably a million times more. Yeah. People like you and me are not meant to look like like that, like Superman, like that. The guys like Tony Atlas were born like that, basically. You'd have them do a couple, 60-yard sprints and some shoulder presses with a rusty dumbbell.
I'm going to tell you what an odd world it is. I'm going to text you. I told Tony, now I remember. I said, Tony, you're not going to believe this. I'm going to send it to you first, Dave. But I said, I was thinking of you yesterday. Because I have his number, and he always says, call me, we'll get together. But, we'll go hang out, and he lives right down the street. look what I have on my desk. And I told him, Tony, you're not going to believe it.
What?
You get it? I just texted it to you.
Oh, hold on.
Because people won't believe it.
Oh my God, you have an old Tony Atlas magazine.
It's a book. No, it's a book about his life.
Oh, really?
And I said, Tony, it's on my desk, and I've read snippets. He said, yo, you can't read snippets. There's too much in there. I said, that's why it's on my desk, because I want to read it sometime when I get time.
I got to get him back on the. I don't think I ever had him on the TV show. I had him on
you
the.
You got to get him on the TV show with Skype, because you know what?
I might have to have him come to your house. Do you think he has Skype in his house?
I don't know if he has Skype at his house. He can come to my house. Be a good excuse to get him over.
Yeah, that'll be great. Tony Atlas. He's probably got stories about Arnold and everyone.
Oh, he's got stories of. The Arnold story is. He's got a story of one day he was at the movies, and he'll tell you. I used to like. He's in L.A. and he's going to the movies, and across the parking lot, who's there? Arnold.
Was this when he lived in L.A. or something?
Yeah, and no. Arnold says, Sergio, and he runs all the way across the parking lot. You realize it's not Sergio, and he says, who are you? Tony goes on to tell him, who he is and all 9 yards.
Did they become friends? Were they friends at all?
Yeah, they were friends. Yeah, he was supposed to play. Arnold offered him the movie role of. Will Chamberlain got it instead at the end.
Yeah, and Conan.
Yes. So Tony was up for that.
Oh, really? He would have been way better than Wilt. Wilt was just tall. He wasn't muscular, So what happened? How come he didn't get the part?
Because Arnold went with the producers. They wanted to go with Will Chamberlain instead.
Bigger name, probably.
Taller. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, that would have been. I'm sure Arnold would have preferred to have Tony Atlas there.
Yeah.
They probably needed someone very tall too. That's the problem.
He's got a million Arnold stories. He's got Triple H stories. He's got.
He probably has Hulk Hogan stories too. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he was the only guy to body slam him.
Oh, I didn't know that. Why, he was the only one who could pick him up?
Yeah.
That's great.
He was like the Larry Wheels of wrestling, dude.
I wonder if he ever messed with Andre the Giant. I got to ask him all these questions. I bet he picked up Andre too.
He body slammed the Hulkster.
I got to ask him about that. All right, book it.
I'll get him. I'll get him. I got to find out if he is.
Now you got him all juiced up. He'll definitely want to come on the show.
Tony's always juiced up, dude.
Yeah.
He's got the gift of the gab.
Yeah. I know you love money, so I don't know if you saw, but Kylie Jenner is now the world's youngest billionaire, 21 years old.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Crazy. Incredible.
What is it? What do they say that most of the wealth is from her makeup line or something?
I think her makeup line was just like $29 a kit.
Wow.
So like every girl under like 12 to like 19 apparently has purchased. What's a billion divided by 29? My calculator won't do it.
It's amazing that I always get it, and I think now I understand why my father used to always get upset when he saw these young punky kids making all this money. No substance. They have no depth.
Well,
what could they be? What could it be? I said, Dad, he'd get mad at these actors, like the young kid actors that were making all this money. I said, Dad, they appeal to the younger generation. That's all it is.
Yeah.
He couldn't understand. He's like, but they have no substance. Who cares about them? They can't act. I said, Dad, but they can act well enough to fool young idiots like us, like me as a kid,
Well, when you go, as my father would say, when you go into the bank and make the deposit, they don't ask you if your dollars have any substance to them.
Right.
They're just happy to take them from you.
So, she because you would think that Kim was the big star, Kim Kardashian's sister, but the
Probably
truth is,
too old.
She's too old. That's right, exactly. Right, that's exactly it. The young kids that buy, who get the parents to buy everything, it's she's the star, I guess. I just personally don't think that she's got very much of a personality, but I guess you don't have to. It's all perception, right?
Yeah, it's perception.
$1 billion. I was talking. I don't remember who I was talking to her about. I said, it's not like she doesn't have $1 billion in the bank. I said, she's just worth $1 billion. Her her companies, which is still pretty impressive. What would you do if you had $1 billion in the bank?
Well, my son asked me this morning. It's so funny you say it. The 5-year-old asked me, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? And I said, oh, what a shallow answer. But my first impulse, I said, is I'd buy this giant house on the beach in Miami Beach. So I'll move there.
That's great.
I said, then once I got comfortable, we'd feed the world.
Yeah. Once you made sure it was real, right? You're funny.
I said, we have to write checks from a very comfortable place to feed the world.
Unbelievable, right? So you sent me this article, but a couple people sent me the same article. They caught this Nordic. They caught this. What was the guy's nationality? Nordic Skiing World Championships last week. They caught 5 skiers and 4 other people were arrested at the championships. 2 pro cyclists admitted to blood doping. And then they caught one man actually on camera with an IV in his arm, having blood transfused back into him. For those people who don't know what blood doping is, what blood doping is these guys they'll take a pint of blood or a unit or 2 of blood out of themselves and they'll put it in the refrigerator. They store it and they wait till their bodies start producing the blood again. And then at a competition, they bring the blood with them and they infuse it back into themselves. So they have an exorbitant amount of extra red blood cells, obviously more oxygen carrying capacity. It's illegal, okay? It's hard to catch people with it because there's no drugs involved in doing it. They used to do this back in the day when there was no drugs. Then EPO came out, and then people started using EPO to boost red blood cell count. But now they test for EPO, so you can't do that. So now they're back to doing blood doping again. Someone must have tipped them off. Someone ratted these guys out. There's no way they would have caught these people otherwise, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
First of all, if someone's knocking on my door of my hotel room, don't you think I'm going to pull the needle out of my arm before I let anyone in?
Maybe they thought it was like their, yeah.
Because you can't get in, in a hotel room, they have you can internally lock the doors. So there's no one with a pass key who's coming into your room, without you opening that door up.
True.
So imagine at the Olympia if they started knocking on all the bodybuilders' doors, the amount of drug paraphernalia that there would be in the room.
You know what? This shows too much. I can't even believe it. I was just thinking today. Do you remember when they came for Louis Freitas at the Arnold, Ohio?
Yeah, what I don't really know that story that well. What was that all about?
Okay, it had to be like one of the very first Arnolds. No, it was Laura was in it, so had to be 89
That's
or
the first
90.
One? Yeah.
And Luis was getting it was. I'll tell you exactly 89. I think it was 89 because I trained with Luis that summer.
Right, he was pretty good.
He was Brazilian, crazy hard trainer. And in fact, Dave, I trained with him once on legs, and I just, I was going on like unconscious. I'm serious, but I wouldn't give up, and I didn't talk. So I was supposed to meet him for dinner after the leg workout, and I was like 2.5 hours late, and I roll in 2.5 hours late after like thinking I was going to die after that workout, and he's there. And I said, "You've been waiting for me the whole time." He said, "No, I just got here." And I said, "That was I thought I was going to die during that workout." He said, "Me too." In other words, he was waiting. I don't know who he was waiting to bury me, but I'd push back,
right,
and he'd keep going. So, anyways, he got ready for the Arnold. I think it was that year. Pretty sure it was 89. And I guess he was dealing anabolics, and they came to his,
Why'd they come to the Arnold? Because they knew he'd be in the U.S.?
Competing. Well, I don't know. They wanted to make a example out of him, and he escaped out the window.
No way, he did?
Yeah.
What happened? Did they get him?
I don't know. They got him at some point.
He went out there. He must have known someone was after him, right?
Yeah, I think he knew. I think he knew because, I mean, everyone knew what he was doing, you know.
But it must have been a thing like where they were waiting for him to come to the U.S. or something like that, right?
No, he was living in the U.S. He was living in L.A.
Oh,
He was there. Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent guy. Great guy.
I'm looking him up right now.
Big legs.
It doesn't even have the Arnold listed here. They had the last show that he did was in 1988.
Yeah, that was pretty accurate, right? So
No, but they didn't have the Arnold list. There was no 88. There was no Arnold in 88, right?
No, 89, I said.
They don't even have it listed, though. There's nothing in 89. Oh, because he never did the show, right?
Yeah, that's right. He went out the window.
That's why it's not. Duh. That's why it's not there. Oh, my God. In 88, he had a pretty busy year. He did the Chicago Pro, the Olympia, Night of Champions, and he did all the European tours, every single one.
Wow.
England, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Spain. Unbelievable.
Joe loved him.
He had a good look, yeah. Joe used to put him in the magazine a lot. He didn't place that well at these shows, but he...
No,
I guess he won the World Amateur Championships heavyweight class in 87. That's how he turned pro the year before. He was, was a good-looking guy. I guess Joe figured it was international, whatever. We should get him on the show.
Yeah, it'd be great. I wonder if maybe...
Reach out, see if you can find him. Yeah.
Maybe...
That's a great story. Right?
Yeah.
If you get Tony
Asmus
Asmus' stories.
Samara.
He was friends with Samir.
Yeah. Because they would micromanage the they would talk about angiotensin,
aldosterone.
Samira's to angiotensin and aldosterone was Milos's to insulin. They're connected for life.
The funny thing, though, is that Samir is still trying to figure out the whole angiotensin 1-2 aldosterone axis out. Oh my God! So there's a lot of I wouldn't say it's controversy, but there was a video. We're going to do an iron debate this week on it. There's a video that that kid Nick put out on his channel, Nick Strength and Power, and he's got a very big following. So when he puts out something, it could become a controversial topic. So we're going to do an iron debate on it.
Well, I can poo-poo that in a minute.
Well, let me just tell people what it is.
I have a great quote from Cedric.
Yeah, he says that he feels that they should make the vacuum pose a mandatory pose, and the way this whole topic even started was that, and I remember seeing this. I never even brought it up to you, but I remember seeing it when George Peterson was announced the winner at the Arnold Classic Physique. And Arnold came out and interviewed him. He asked him, "Hey, you have a great vacuum pose." He showed them the vacuum pose, and of course George doesn't hit a vacuum pose, but George tried to hit one anyway, and of course it didn't work. And Arnold's like, "This is great, the vacuum pose." Now Arnold had done that to Kai Green when he won that year that we thought Cedric, should have won, and he told Kai Green to hit the vacuum pose too, and Kai doesn't hit a vacuum pose. So people were assuming that when maybe Arnold was taking a shot at him because maybe he thought the other Steve Laurie should have won. And then the whole gist of Nick's video was that he feels that they should make the vacuum a mandatory pose because Arnold hit it and Zane hit it and whoever else, whatever. What's your feeling on it? I know you and I feel the same way, but what's your feeling on it?
I defer to Cedric McMillan, who once told me, quote, "Just because you can do a vacuum pose doesn't mean you have a classic physique."
It's true. And Cedric had a good vacuum pose.
Well, I mean, the point is, a lot of people who they do a front delt bicep with the vacuum and they say, I'm classic.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's more to it than that.
Of course.
Well, I'll say this. Flex wheel was pretty classic.
Yeah.
He couldn't do a vacuum.
No, he looked better because he wouldn't have looked as good with the vacuum. He looked better when he would crunch down on those abs.
Excuse me. Bob Paris was pretty classic. He could not do a vacuum.
Right.
So there's two of the most, quote, classic looking bodybuilders.
Some guys look better blowing down on their abs. I think that a lot of people can hit. I don't think everyone looks good in a vacuum. I don't even. To me, it's freaky looking, and that's why I like it. But
YouTube just take the whole thing down because it's misleading.
It's not really even a great. It's not a very attractive pose. The vacuum. It
is on some people.
Well, it's a freaky looking thing, we like freakiness. If you showed it to a regular person on the street, you showed them the classic blowdown on the abs versus the vacuum. Most people would say they like they want to see the abs. They don't like the way that. Ew, that's disgusting. I don't like that. Guaranteed. I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 people would tell you that on the street because we're weird bodybuilders. We like weird shit. That's not an aesthetic looking thing, It might, I understand from the side, sometimes it looks weird, to show that small waist, but it's not attractive by any means to suck your stomach in like that. But some people, it makes their proportion look better. And I think that's why whether you hit a vacuum or not is up to you. You can hit a front double bicep. Some guys put a leg out to the side. Some guys don't, right? You can't tell people how to hit a pose. They do it according to their aesthetics of their body. That's my belief, at least. I don't think no one's going to say, oh, by the way, we're going to have an additional pose. It's going to be called the side tricep, only crunching down on the abs.
Yeah,
you have to hit that pose. If you can't hit that pose, then you can't. You're going to lose the show. No, first of all, how can you make a vacuum pose mandatory? Because some guys do a vacuum when they hit an ab thigh shot. Some guys hit a vacuum and do a lat spread. What pose are you going to have to do the vacuum on?
Yeah.
Right.
Or do you just do it by itself, hands overhead, and just pull the vacuum?
Just have it lay down on the floor and see who can suck their stomach in the most. So.
You want to hear a funny Bob Gruskin story?
Sure.
Bob Gruskin was, I don't know, he's judging like the Eastern Seaboard or something when it was a really big, when you used to get like 90 competitors back in maybe the 70s.
Right.
And this good friend of mine, Skip Robinson, who won the, I think, WABA Mr. World, and he won some big titles. He used to go out to, Ed Connors used to bring him, he was a school teacher in Maine, and Ed Connors used to bring him out to LA to train for the summer. Mm-hmm. Didn't bring Dan Duchesne, who was also in the same gym. So me, Skip, and that's
weird, right? All you guys were in that same gym.
Exactly. Because it's another story. Skip used to tell me about Ed Connors when I was 15. Oh, you say, when you get bigger, Ed will bring you out there. Little did I know that. And so Bob wanted, according to Skip, someone else to win.
Right.
And if you know Skip, he's so it's just too much. He's got like he's probably listening to the show. Skip, you have an Arnold aura about you.
What's Skip's last name again?
Robinson.
Okay.
And so Skip said, Bob Gruskin called, gentlemen, a vacuum pose? And Skip said, right on stage, come on, Skip, Bob, I can't pull a vacuum pose.
Oh, he was competing?
He made it a mandatory. Bob made it a mandatory.
Vacuum pose.
It was probably like against Defenders or something who had the crazy vacuum pose. Gentlemen, the most muscular side tricep and your favorite vacuum pose.
See, Bob.
And Skip right on stage said, Bob always told me that. Skip told it from his perspective, and Bob told me years later from his perspective. God.
Were people laughing when he said that to Bob?
Yeah. It was like a confrontation.
That's great.
And Bob said, just give it a shot. Just give it a try.
That's like Arnold. Oh, that's your vacuum pose. See, if Cedric was there, what would Cedric have said? Come on, man, Arnold. Let me see your vacuum. He would have turned it around on him, right?
Yeah, turn it around, yeah. Hey, you didn't win 7 Olympias on a vacuum. You won on the chest and shoulders.
But let me see the vacuum anyway. And Arnold would have probably lifted his shirt up and done the vacuum.
Yeah, who knows?
Probably would have done it. For Cedric, he would have done it. I get these emails. I don't know if you get these emails. This is Judy from Landmark Chem, wishing you a good day. As a supplier of steroids and SARM powders, we have a rich experience in shipping steroids worldwide and know how to protect your benefits and solve shipping problems. These people out of their fucking mind.
Dave. Send a crate to me at JFK. You and
Yeah, I'll have the crate delivered. You and Bob and Tony Atlas could go pick it up. Oh my God. What's more, we have a warehouse in the USA. So we don't in other words, they don't have to send it through customs. We offer transfer services too. Trying best to avoid risks. So they're going to deliver it to my house, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
We can store it in the pool.
Yeah.
Till the pool's filled up.
Sure. Unbelievable. I should just humor them and then email them back. I don't even want to have a record because it'll be in court. They'll be like, you see, you wrote them back.
I just got pictures. Someone sent me. Ricardo Correa just texted me. I said, I'm doing the radio. I'll talk to you later. He says, well, tell Dave on the radio show while you're there that Rude Boy is online. LOL.
Rude Boy is, what's his name?
Ricardo Correa.
Yeah. Oh, he's online now? Doing what?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he thinks we're doing it live or something.
Oh, he probably thinks we're doing it live, yeah. We used to do stuff live.
Eduardo Correa.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. I hear Eduardo Correa, though, is making a comeback this year.
Yeah, he looks great. 10 weeks out from whatever show he's doing. I don't know what he's doing.
Are you helping?
Yeah, he's going to be at his best.
Oh, you're back in his corner again. Okay,
yeah, he looks great. Huge.
He always does these. He always manages to make these comebacks after these like major injuries.
Brutal. Listen.
What did he tear this time?
I think I can come back after seeing him. Everything. He has shoulder injury, tricep surgery, like 3 of them. Ugh.
Why did he have 3 tricep surgeries? What happened to him?
Because why have you had 10 knee surgeries?
Oh, so it didn't take, in other words.
Yeah, it doesn't take.
I wish I had his tenacity to keep going back and doing it again.
Well, when he came back, I thought, okay, well, I guess we can give it a shot, and see if, see something happens. But
and his body transformed?
He hit a sweet spot maybe 2 months ago where like he could finally train all out 100%. So the last 8 weeks he's put on a ton of muscle.
He's probably cooking.
Not a ton, 4 kilos, but it looks like 15.
Yeah, and he's probably cooking all his own meals, right?
Oh, yeah, of course he is. He don't eat Tupperware meals.
So meticulous about everything.
Every meal is fresh, hot, and cooked.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question. What does a guy like him do mentally, to handle the whole, not being able to train and all that? What was he? Does he have other interests? What was he doing, during this downtime, so to speak?
I don't know, but anyone who knows Eduardo, he can find pleasure
in a cup of tea, right?
Oh, of course. He'd say he could talk 45 minutes about the tea, about the cup. Did you notice the cup? Did you notice the tea bag? He could go into different teas. If he was sitting on his balcony, he would talk about the view with the tea. He could do a flashback to 4 years ago when him and his girlfriend had tea in New York City, and here he is. I mean, he finds deep pleasure in the smallest stuff.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. Don't you? I wish I was so non-superficial, that I could actually just really appreciate all that stuff.
He loves every workout. He loves to suffer. People say, "How does he get so ripped?" He loves to suffer. I can. If I need to no carbs for 93 days, I can do it.
Yeah, he doesn't he's one of these guys that likes food but doesn't he doesn't live for food. For me, food is such an important part of my life, you know what I mean? I can take it or leave it, I used to hate people like him, especially in running, because runners don't eat a lot. They pretend they eat a lot, but they really don't, because you can't, because if you gain extra weight, you don't run as fast. And I hated the fact that I had to be so militant about the way I ate, because I really enjoyed eating. So when I switched to bodybuilding, it was like someone let me out of jail because I couldn't gain weight. And I kept saying, well, I have this insatiable hunger. I'm just going to unleash it. I'm going to eat as much as I'm going to eat until I'm not hungry anymore every day. And if I get fat, I get fat. And I did get fat. That was the weird thing. So bodybuilding was a great way to vent my love of food, but until of course dieting time comes around, and then you got to cut it back. But I had such a good metabolism, I really didn't have to reduce my food to the point that some of these guys do, in other words. But Yeah, he's one of these guys. Food is just another, it's another thing that you got to do in life, but it's not, it's not like the be all end all. If I can have one beautiful meal a day, I'm happy, right?
Yeah, if you want to appreciate, that book, it's the small stuff or whatever.
Is that what it's called?
Well, there's a book like The Small Stuff. It's like, or the gist of it is, enjoy the small stuff in life.
Yeah.
Because, those are the important stuff, and they, people live for the big stuff, but it's really the small, menial stuff every day that you should try to enjoy.
It's true.
You don't need the Cliff Notes. You don't need to read that book. If you spend one full day with Eduardo, that's the lesson in that book.
I love it. I hate and I love well-balanced people like that because it makes me realize I still have a lot of work to do.
And he has never said, and he's been at the brunt of a lot of decisions where I was just like, wow, God.
He's never complained about a single placing.
Never complained, and he never talked bad about a competitor. He's never, ever said, like, in fact, someone looked terrible. I could say, oh, so-and-so looked terrible. He said, yeah, he's fuller now, though. He's fuller. He said, Chris, maybe he's working on fullness now. Maybe next contest he'll do better.
Yeah. He's too well balanced. He'll probably live to 120.
Oh, yeah.
If you saw how much shit that I don't have to tell you, you're probably the same way. If you saw how much shit I do in the course of a day, today, right? Day of rest.
You sound like me.
Day of rest. Today was my day of rest, right? We went to the bagel store, we ate some food. Logan wasn't feeling good. Went back home. The kids took a nap. All right. I was like, you know what? I need a nap. I'm a little.
You don't have time for a nap.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go water the plants, and I gotta plant these 3 plants I bought. Before I know it, I was out there for 2 hours in the sun. It was like 85 degrees here, which, sorry, you guys, they're in the freezing cold, but I must have put in. I felt like I built a house when I was done. I did so much because I have a big piece of property. I was running around mulching things and digging, and which, by the way, my shoulder feels really good. I was using it a lot. I think this Friday a lot of people have been asking. This Friday I get clearance to go back to the gym, assuming everything's okay. But I'm feeling good, so I'm assuming they're going to give me that clearance. But I was out there like a lunatic, watering and walking back and forth and carrying things, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why didn't I just go inside and lay on the couch for 2 hours and sleep? I can't do it. I like to get stuff done. Like you said, it's like sleeping is like a waste of time almost, nowadays.
No, I hear you. I think sometimes if people follow me around my day, they'd just be astounded of how much stuff goes on. Completely astounded. Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about the great thing happening in your life?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not till I get that. What do we say? $1 billion, and then
$1 billion.
I'll buy the house in Miami and then feed the world.
All right, we'll talk about it next week. What else? So this past week we did the iron debate. We had 2 iron debates actually, and the first iron debate was about Brandon Curry versus Sean Roden. Can Curry beat Roden? I thought it was a really good iron debate because I think I think those two are going to match up really well come Olympia time. And what was your answer, just for people who didn't catch it?
I said Sean Roden can be beaten by a lot of people.
You did, and I have to give you credit for that.
I'm not delusional. I think I'm the most rational person around when it comes to. I may pump up people who I'm helping, but I said it before. If Sean Roden thinks he's going to go in there and cakewalk the show, he's lost his marbles. I said the same thing about who I help. Do
you think that Brandon
and the same thing for the guy who got second, the kid, Mr. USA? There's no lock on the 212. Period.
No. Do you think Brandon Curry is a bigger threat to Sean Roden's Olympia because of the way he matches up than Rami is?
No, Rami's a bigger threat.
Why? Just because of his size?
Size.
I don't know. It's weird.
But I'll tell you this.
What?
I'll tell you this. In the front double bicep, the first pose, Rami's third in that shot.
Right.
And if everyone's in really good condition. I mean, it's only one shot. But, I mean, that size is going to count for something. Right?
I think it does, yeah. Assuming it's conditioned well, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that I said on the show if Sean improves, no, he will not lose. Period.
I agree with that. If he's better, then he won't.
If he replicates or improves, he will not lose. If he's not at his best, he will not win.
Yeah, I mean, you think Sean watching this Arnold Classic lit a little fire under his butt to get his ass in gear?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I was Sean and I saw the improvements Brandon made, I'd want to get into the gym. I mean, me personally,
What did Sergio think of the Brandon Curry victory?
I didn't see him.
We saw him, but I think we saw him after the show, right? And before the show, I think we saw him.
Yeah, we saw him before the show.
I forgot to ask him about what he thought about the whole thing.
Yeah, he usually has pretty good insight.
I just like because I would have to imagine that when he's seeing these guys that are not humongous winning, that's got to work in his favor a little bit in his mind because he can match up size wise with these guys pretty well.
Yeah, no, I always Sergio's extremely dangerous. Sergio has never. He came to my room during the week. That I should have put Dave. If I put a bug in that and called it heavy muscle, the show would have been.
No one has. Yeah, no one can. I think he has passed Cedric in terms of analyzing, breaking down everyone, and completely and logically explain. You'll actually hear him. You'll agree with him. Logically, destroying every single person out there. Yeah.
Well, we talked about so many different topics outside of bodybuilding, which he was very dead on with as well. But
he's got good insight.
I got exhausted. I felt like I was doing one of your making of the guru, seminars from talking with him. But just you end up talking so fast, it just keep up. When he leaves, you're exhausted. But there were a bunch of people like coming and going in my room, and so when Sergio was there, Sergio made the comment, which is true. He said he had never had an off season, and I said, Sergio, every show you've done with me, you start at the same weight and you end at the same weight because you haven't even been training, let alone have an off season. When he won the Nationals, he was 249, 243.
Wow.
And when he first started, I'm like, this is like the toughest show in the country, right? He's got like 10 weeks. And then
what does he always have, like drama going on?
Well, he's just not training.
I didn't know that.
He won the New York Pro, he was like, 258, 254.
I don't understand how these bodybuilders. You see, that's why I hate these genetic freaks. How do these bodybuilders not train in the off season? I love to train. I would never have the balls not to train.
He's 284 now, so I mean, does that mean 280, or even if it means 267?
No,
he's big. That's my point.
That's what he needed to do, though. I don't understand why he never had an off season. Right? I mean, come on.
The Cubs. He would tell you the Cubs were in the World Series one year. Let me ask him. Let me text him. Say, Sergio, we're doing the radio show because he's probably just waking up.
He'll be like, I'll call. He's like, let me call in. It'll extend our show another 2 hours. Yeah.
Let me see, Sergio. I'm talking about you.
Tell him to Skype in.
What was my question? What was the question, fam?
How come he never trained in the off season?
Oh, okay. How come you never trained?
Right? Only Sergio.
Let's see how far.
Man, if you saw how many, I keep looking at my emails. I don't know because they're popping up. I can't believe how many. I have clients with the amount of excuses that I get from some of my clients, and not the ones that are doing well in shows. I'm talking about the regular people that I'm trying to just turn around the way their physiques look. They got more excuses about why they haven't trained, or they got sick, or they got into accidents. And
yeah, he's texting back. Go ahead.
What do you write?
I don't know. It's gonna be something funny.
No, it's coming through. It's like 25 pages.
I said, Sergio, I'm talking about you on the radio. LOL. How come you never trained in the off season? We may need to Skype you in. He says, yes! Exclamation. He don't even want to answer. He wants to answer on the air.
Oh, you want to answer on the air? All right, so you know what? Let's take a break and then we'll come right back. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Welcome back to Heavy Muscle Radio, and we're still waiting. We contacted Sergio. He's in Australia, so
In a car.
So we might get him. We don't know. You know, only in this day and age can someone be in the other side of the world, okay? And you can actually get through to them, and they actually can call you, and you can record the conversation. It's almost unfathomable, but we'll see. We'll see if we can. But we do need to talk about the reason why Sergio is in Australia is we do need to talk about the Arnold Australia. I know people like to listen to us talk about our daily lives and all the frivolous stuff that means nothing, but there is a big show this coming weekend, and obviously Brandon Curry not doing the show, but William Bonac in that lineup, and I'm sure we haven't spoken to him since the loss, but I have to believe that he's fuming, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, someone sent me a post, tagged me, that he said only good things, it was a close show.
No, I don't think he's mad at Brandon. I think he's mad that he didn't win, though. I mean, he's very competitive in that sense. So I'm sure he wants this victory to really make up for him losing the USA.
The USA? Oh, you mean the USA? Yeah, the Arnold. Yeah, I'm sure he's hungry, and he sees it as an opportunity, to win.
Can he be beat? That's the question.
He's hard to beat. He's very hard to beat. Takes a lot to beat, which says a lot about Brendan Curry.
Well, he's got Josh Lenardowitz to deal with, who he just beat already. He's got Cedric, who he potentially could be better, but he beat him. He's got Luke, who is close, but I think he beat him pretty handily. Who could he beat? I mean, there's Rulli. I don't think Rulli's improving in 2 weeks, but you never know. 2 weeks is a long time. Rulli does seem to. I mean, that's the only guy I can think that could be a wild card in this lineup. Can Rulli, in your mind, improve enough from what we saw 2 weeks ago to win this show?
I don't think so.
Was he that far off in your mind?
Yes, he was. Okay. And what you saw is nothing more than the illusion of, the bad fish prep. I mean, I was not impressed with Rulli at all. I said it right. He should have been. He's.
I was sitting with you and Jose, and you and Jose were giving him a little more credit than I thought he deserved. But
he was not in shape.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine 2 weeks being enough time. But you never know, as Bob Grushkin would say. Yeah, you never know.
Oh, Bob was prepping him he'd win.
Yeah, he'd have.
It'd only be good for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So what time's the prejudging? 6 p.m. Okay, we can get him ready from 6 to 9.
I would have him do it.
Show. It's like what's the Cinderella? Bob could prep you for like your all-time best when you're not really in shape for like 7 hours. Mm-hmm. And if the night show goes past the 7-hour mark, you might end up 10.
Turn back into a pumpkin.
You turn back into a water buffalo.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if I was Rulli's coaches out there at Oxygen, I'm sure they probably had him doing 3 hours of cardio. I would, right?
Oh yeah, I would have him on nothing. I would have him on fumes and cardio.
Yeah, and he's the kind of guy that won't lose any muscle doing that either.
No, he could Skype into Eduardo Correa, and Eduardo could tell him it's good for you. It's suffering. It's good, Rolly.
Now, Josh is a guy who I feel 2 weeks would be plenty of time to really dial in what he needed. We saw a good Josh Lenardowitz. We did not see a peel to the bone, glutes and hamstrings ridiculous Josh Lenardowitz. And that's really what it takes for Josh to win the show, because if he tries to pull that fullness, big size game, he doesn't have the smallest waist on stage. So it just makes it look worse. He needs to be ridiculous on stage.
True.
I think 2 weeks would have been enough for him, because I don't think he had much fat on him. I think he just was overcarbed, and he probably needed to lose, 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4 pounds.
Yeah, I think it was more than
of fat. I mean, I'm not talking. He had water on him too.
He was off the mark, I would say.
He looked good from the front.
I know, but they have to turn you from behind, and that's unfortunately.
Of course. What about Cedric McMillan? Where does he go? Does he get worse or does he get better in these 2 weeks?
He gets better and is very dangerous.
Have you seen anything?
No, but he clearly knows, I'm sure, that he needs to be tighter.
Did he try any crazy new ideas that he had? Like he likes
No,
to do?
I doubt it, and I bet he is, and I'm a good better.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he realizes that, okay, I'm bigger than I thought on stage. This is verbatim.
He was big. I'll give him that much. He was big on stage, but he was not hard enough, obviously.
And I have time to get hard enough, and I would not. I would expect him to be right on the money for the show.
I think he's dangerous to William Bonek if he's in shape.
It's extremely dangerous
Because of his height.
He looks he looks 6'8" without being lanky on stage.
Because the other guys are really not that tall in the lineup. I mean, Josh is probably are up there, but not crazy tall. What about where does Steve Kukla go here? I thought Steve was in really good shape at the Arnold. I thought he beat a lot of guys that people didn't expect him to beat because he was in shape. And we talk about conditioning is what wins shows. He beat guys that he probably shouldn't beat, and he probably shouldn't have been high. I thought he should have been fourth.
Yeah,
I would have kicked Cedric right out of it. I think Kukla was better than him because of just of his conditioning. But here's a guy, who proves that, he might not have the best genetics on stage, but he's got size, he's got conditioning and polish, and that counts for a lot at the Arnold Classic. Maybe not at the Olympia, but at the Arnold Classic, that goes a long way. Branch Warren proved that over and over and over again, right? I mean, how many guys did he beat that he never should have beaten probably over the years?
The whole lineup.
Yeah. So I think Kukla's a solid top 5 here as well.
Oh, easy. He's definitely top 5 here, no matter what. I mean, he's because he's not. His physique doesn't have a lot of gaps. He's far bigger now than he was 4 years ago, for example, or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years ago, three or four, and without glaring weaknesses, you automatically beat a lot of people.
Yeah. What do you think? Let's talk about Akeem Williams for a minute. What went wrong with him, do you think, in this prep?
Is he in the show?
Yes, he's in this one too.
I think that at the show, he was holding a little bit of water and a little bit of fat, and so were other people.
He seemed to have gotten worse as the prejudging went on.
Well, I'll tell you what. He did, and so did a lot of people. And you know what? I sat next to someone who mentioned that, and I'm dead serious, Dave. You could see people who realize, I'm not in the shape that I thought I was in, just get magnificently worse over prejudging. Just like, whereas people who were in that first call-out stayed consistent.
You think it's a mental thing?
Yeah, it's a mental thing. I mean, and I don't care how strong you are. If you don't hear your name on the first call,
Yeah, right.
Remember, the crazy thing from the show, the prejudging, is Cedric was not in the first call out.
No, he really. I remember his physique collapsed after that. Yeah,
and to his credit, when after the big first call out, because the first call out was over and over and switch around, neither was Kukla.
True. You're right.
And they worked themselves past Raphael, and they worked themselves past, or Cedric worked himself past
everyone.
And a lot changed. But I agree that when Cedric first came out for the second call, I thought, God, he was like, when he came out by himself, he looked much tighter, and then he got tighter as he went.
Yeah, because his physique is linked to his mental state of mind. Unfortunately,
well, I mean, a lot of people.
Unfortunately for him, yeah, doesn't work to his advantage a lot of times. If he could turn his brain off while he's competing, he'd probably be a lot better.
Well, if a lot of people could, right?
Well, I think Kai's the same way.
I agree with you.
Kai's very mental too. If he's not in the right mental state of mind, he's not good. He almost needs to be hypnotized before. I think that's why what's his name, Oscar, was so good for Kai, because I think Oscar used to hypnotize him backstage before he went on stage to believe he could win the show. And Cedric needs a little Oscar Arden hypnotism, I think, before he goes out there.
No.
Look, Tony's got a great lineup. I'll tell you one thing. Tony used to beg these guys to come out to Australia when it was the Australian Grand Prix. He would come to America, the week before or 2 weeks before, and he'd be like, guys, look, I'll buy a plane ticket or whatever. I'm put you out. And I remember I used to have him on the radio show every single year when he used to run those shows. And I'm like, man, Tony, no one works harder than you. I guarantee this show will be. He's like, look, I do the show with labor of love. Now it's the Arnold Classic there. It's got a stellar top-rate, lineup of competitors. It's the best guys in the sport. It makes me proud almost to say I know Tony, because Tony is a true testament to don't give up, and you will succeed. And we saw him. I don't know if did you run into him with me, or I think I was with Sid. We ran into him outside, right by the Arnold statue, believe it or not. And I was talking for about 20 minutes. I was freezing my ass off because I didn't have a jacket on. Imagine that, going from Florida to Columbus, South Carolina, to Columbus, Ohio, and not bringing a jacket. But I was standing out there talking to him, and I just love Tony. He's a great guy, great energy, and I couldn't be happier for the show and this great lineup he's got. He's got the best names in the sport. He's got bodybuilding, bikini, fitness, and figure. The fitness is going to be great because it's going to be a rematch. Ryle Graber won last week, beating Whitney Jones, who's Miss Olympia, so they'll have a nice battle there. They got a crazy bikini lineup, of course, as always. Best bikini girls in the world. That'll be a battle and also, I guess, a rematch of sorts, because Janet Lag will be in that lineup. She won last week. And in the figure lineup, of course, you also have a terrific, terrific lineup, although I don't see our reigning champion in that lineup. I don't see Sydney Gillen. Maybe she's done. Well, she's the Olympia champ. She won the Arnold USA. I guess she's done for the year. It always behooves me, though. You got to show 2 weeks later. I know that the top people would definitely get flown out and all their expenses paid for. You think they would just go and knock it out at the ballpark? Back in the day, Flex Wheeler would have been there. Milos would have been there, right? These guys never would have skipped. Another big show 2 weeks later with prize money,
Sergio's ready. He's texting me. He's ready for the show.
Yes. All right, let's get his feedback on the whole lineup.
He said he messaged you.
Oh, he did? Let me see. Hold on. We got Sergio Oliva Jr. here all the way from Australia. Now, what are you doing in Australia? You out there for the show?
Yeah. I'm here for the Arnold. I came a little bit early so I can spend time with some friends.
Oh, now what's going on? What's your is your wife still out there? What's going on with that whole thing?
No, I'm divorced.
You're divorced. What happened? Can you give me a quick what happened?
It didn't go well. No. We'll put it at that. Don't get married.
Is she still in Australia? Is she still in Australia?
As far as I know. Yeah. They're still here.
Now, is that uncomfortable that you might run into her at the show?
No, she would never be anywhere that I'm going to be around. Oh. Her or her little boyfriend would never want to be.
She cheated on you. In other words,
isn't that what they all do?
I don't know. Did that ever happen to you, Chris?
Nope.
No. I quote one.
How quick was that? Nope.
That's because Chris is a good judge of character, Sergio.
Right, exactly. I know that needs to rub off on me.
So you're out there. Are you out there to support people, or you're out there to support a brand?
Yeah, Gat sent me out here.
Okay,
so I'm gonna work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That flight isn't so bad for you leaving from California. It's terrible from New York, for the East Coast. But what is it, like 18 hours, 17 hours?
Yeah, I've done it like 8 times coming back and forth. And then I moved out here. I was living out here for a little bit, too.
I remember, yeah.
So,
did you like it there?
It's nothing. Yeah, I love it. If I was going to live anywhere else besides the States, I would live here. It's no problem.
Now, Chris, when you told me that Sergio was driving out there, I was like, driving? I said, that's not so easy in Australia.
No, I'm swimming.
Well, driving, you got to drive on the other side of the road,
Oh, am I driving while I'm here? I thought you meant did I drive to Australia?
No.
Yeah. I drive when I'm out here.
You're comfortable with the other side of the road stuff going on?
The other side of the road's not an issue. Other cars are coming the other way. Don't crash into them. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's the steering the steering wheel on the other side is hard.
Oh, that's the tricky thing. I got you.
Yeah.
I purposely did not rent a car when I was in Australia ever because I didn't want to. Because I know I would have definitely crashed. I would have definitely got onto the highway going the wrong way or something like that. For sure. All right. So what I want to know because you're brutally honest. What was your opinion of the decision between William Bonac and Brandon Curry at the Arnold USA, and then what do you think is going to happen at this upcoming Arnold Australia, especially since Curry is not in the lineup?
I think that sometimes in bodybuilding, guys should get rewarded for being their best, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they were the best that day. I'm just a quad guy, you know. I like when guys have legs, and I feel like that's something that's really lagging in today's bodybuilders. I feel like 3 guys won shows last year and they don't even have legs. So I would have gone with Bonac, but I think Brandon Curry is like literally one of the best people in this sport, and it's the best he's ever looked. They should reward him, and they should give it to him on that day. But we learned last year that the same thing doesn't apply anymore. When you win Ohio, doesn't mean you're going to win every single other Arnold anymore, which is good. It's good for the sport. You know, it used to be where guys were just traveling just so they could collect the same paycheck that they got in Ohio, where now things could get mixed up. I still would have put Bonac over Rolly last year, but they did the same thing. Rolly came with a better midsection, you know, so they rewarded him for that. And they've done it a couple times in the sport where guys get the nod because it's their ultimate best. Like with Kai beat Phil at that Arnold. I would have went with Phil, but it was Kai's best ever. But then look, because he was never able to look like that ever again, it kind of hurt him.
Right. What did you think about this week at the Australia? You were going to have obviously William Bonac coming in here now. Ruli Winkler has another 2 weeks to try to get in shape. Cedric, always, a wild card. Josh Leonardowitz, another 2 weeks to get in shape. What do you predict will be the outcome at this show?
I think, and I talked about this, after Chicago, and I don't know why people were attacking me. Like I was saying, I should have won the show. I was just explaining in bodybuilding, sometimes you don't look your best on stage, where it could have been a few hours later, it could have been the next day, and it's the timing. That's the hardest part about this.
Sure.
This industry is, and I think that's what happened with Josh. I think Josh was actually going to probably be up there in the top 3. And, he made a couple mistakes at the last minute and it didn't look his best. But I think he might be the one that is going to be the most night and day different between Ohio and Australia. I really think everybody else is just going to look exactly the same, to tell you the truth.
You might be right. It's pretty interesting, too, that Josh will be, the hometown favorite there, too, as well, which always, it can't hurt when you leave.
They literally have 2 pros in this whole country, and that's it. Him and Nathan, I think Nathan's doing the Arnold too. Maybe not. I don't know. He did last year.
Yeah. No Nathan.
Right. No. So I'm really excited to see Josh because I knew Josh before anybody. I came out here for a guest posing when I was an amateur,
right.
And I met Josh, and he was telling me how hard it is to be a bodybuilder out here, and he was actually going to retire. He was going to do one more show.
Oh, really?
He wasn't even sponsored by Doherty. He was just struggling and doing it on his own, and he was thinking about maybe doing 1 or 2 more shows, and that was it. He was going to call it quits. So to see what he turned into only just, motivates me and so many other up-and-coming bodybuilders. So I know he's got an insane amount of talent, and he's got wheels. So I think the Ohio was a big loss for him. Just spiritually, and I think that he's already going to be back on it. He's going to make his corrections, and he's going to be maybe someone that might even be fighting for that top spot.
I think it was a good move for them not to place him. I'll tell you why. Even though he definitely deserved to beat Cedric, and he definitely deserved to beat Ruli in my book, because I thought he was better than them. But I think this really, you're right, probably lit a fire under his ass, and he probably is killing himself now. And he doesn't have to travel too. He's home, so to speak.
Right. The sport does that every now and then, where they'll kind of make people place really bad on purpose, so that way it kind of like teaches them a lesson and motivates. They did it to Cody. Cody's first Arnold. He could have placed 3 or 4 places higher, and then they didn't, and it totally sent him on a mind fuck. But
it worked. It worked the opposite on him. Yeah,
it did work the opposite. He is coming back though, so we'll see. I'm excited to see his comeback to the open class, as well as a couple other people coming back to the open class. But the only thing I was confused about at the Arnold was usually when the vets look decent or they're on their way out, they usually give them, a little nod. We've done it with Ronnie and Jay and so many people. I was really surprised that they gave Victor like 10th place when I thought at the night show, he looked pretty decent. I think he could have placed a little bit better, and especially I don't know how many more years he's got left. They could have gave him a couple of notches, for a better placing. But sometimes they put you in the back. I know that firsthand when they made me walk out my first goddamn Mr. Olympia, and I'm standing between Rami and Phil. They did that shit on purpose. We know it. So sometimes they it's kind of their way of saying like, man, you know what? If you want to be the future and you want to be around for the next 10 years, and here you go, have at it. This is where you stand, literally.
Victor just had a new kid. He'll be competing for another 10 years, believe me. Now, my final question, I'm going to let you go because I know you got stuff to do, is Chris and I were talking about Brandon Curry versus Sean Roden. And,
this is so stupid. I hate how they're doing that.
Yeah, but what do you think that that's a viable matchup?
No, I don't know why they're doing that. There's so many of these matchups on social media. That's the worst part about bodybuilding. For our industry, it's social media is ruining bodybuilding because you're putting these guys next to each other in a picture. Right. And Sean Ray blocked me on social media because I was talking about this. NyQuil Sean Ray got so mad because I was saying, one, they put a picture next to me and Sean Ray. One, it's very disrespectful. Don't put my picture next to Sean Ray. I had done one show at the time. I have no business being put next to him. But if you are, you can't put this guy who's 5'5" at best next to someone who's 6 foot, and they look exactly the same height.
Right.
And this is something that I think is a big issue in bodybuilding that we should maybe start doing something at the Olympia where maybe at the end we bring out all the class winners so you can see the difference in height and size and just mass between these guys, because people saying that Brion could be Sean Roden is just a travesty.
Yeah, it's a joke.
And there's no way Curry being peeled out of his entire mind. He could come back looking better than he did at the Arnold. He's still not going to have the stature that Sean has when he's just standing. Sean can be standing and taking a piss, and he looks like he would be first call out. So I just think it's just a really rude and disrespectful comparison to have between them two. When if you put them next to each other, it would be so obvious. But when's the last time that they stood next to each other? I don't even know. Good
analysis and good point as always. Chris and I were talking about it. You can talk for 2 hours straight, and everything out of your mouth is usually pretty accurate.
But I'm glad that this is the best thing that's happening in bodybuilding. This stir up, this unknown. We don't know who's going to win the Olympia. We don't know what place they're going to take it. And I told Mannion this after Ohio, that this is making up bodybuilding great again. And now we don't know what's going to happen in Australia. When the last few years we knew exactly what was going to happen in Australia, Spain, Brazil. You could almost figure out the rest of the shows for the rest of the year, including the Olympia. And now we don't know. Now look at us. Now we're talking about Brandon Curry and Sean Roden. Like it no matter what, it's spicing things up, and that's making bodybuilding great again, and that's awesome. But there's a bunch of guys in front, and Rami's a perfect example of sometimes you can nail it, and sometimes you can spill over and you look bad. That doesn't mean that this guy's not a good bodybuilder.
Sure.
And him teaming up with Neil, I don't think anyone needs to be talking about Brandon Curry at the Olympia. And man, I promise you, Brandon Curry, man, he's helped my career a lot. There was a couple times that I was feeling really down about myself, and I was almost 30 and I hadn't won my pro card yet. This guy's like taking me aside and giving me some really good words of wisdom. He's helped me out a lot. So people don't know how to differentiate between someone talking shit and actually just talking facts. So I love Brandon Curry, but I think it's still going to be a Rami show. And now with Neil, I think we're comparing the wrong people with Sean. I think this Olympia is not going to be. I unfortunately I don't think Brandon Curry could look better than what he did at the Arnold. Like, this man has given everything up to look how he's looked. He's left his entire family and lived in another country for how long now, So I just don't know if someone could even come back even better than what he did. I mean, he nailed it. They nailed it.
Right. Now, how come you never had a good off season? Chris and I were trying to figure this out. Why is this your first off season you ever had?
This is literally my first off season I've ever had in my entire life. Because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to balance my life out.
Too much drama. Is that what it is?
I make poor decisions, or what I also do is I do after every show, and I always get shit about this, but I do the Kevin Levrone technique where I take a break after a show. I like to clean my body out, take a break from the gym, everything in my body, and I just like to take a break from it so that I'm excited to come back. The problem is sometimes while I'm taking that break, bad shit happens. Usually bad decisions. Bad decisions I made.
Maybe you should stop taking a break from now on.
Yeah, right, exactly. So after now, usually a 3-month break turns into now a 6-month break where now I've had so many where I've lost 80 pounds.
Oh my God.
You know, just got into so much.
Send him over to Kuwait, Chris, when after he's done with the show. You get him ready and then send him to Kuwait for fucking 6 months to keep his head on straight. They'll lock him down in that fucking little hotel they put people in, and they'll strap him to a video game. That's all you'll be able to do.
Yeah, no. Then I'm gonna be dying and then blaming Chris because I almost died because of him.
That's right. Do you?
No. I just need to actually take a break and actually stay on the grind, which I'm doing now. And I'm really excited.
Where are we going to see you next? Where are you going to compete?
I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out because I don't want to come back and look the same or just slightly better. And that's what I was going to say is once you're on the Olympia stage, you're not going to keep having these downfalls. And if you do, then this isn't for you. Me being on the Olympia stage, even though I qualified the year before and didn't go, actually being on that stage now, it's kind of like a fail-safe so I don't fuck this up because now I had a taste and I know what I want and I know where I want to be. So I don't want to just come back and maybe move from 16th place to 12th place or 10th place. I want to make a significant jump. I want to actually start being an actual wrecking force in this game. And to do that, I need a lot more time.
So are you thinking about skipping competing this year?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm still trying to play it by ear. There's a little rumors of certain Mr. Olympias doing certain shows this year, and if they do it, then there's no point of even entering because that's not going to happen.
What's that?
Who are you referring to?
I can't say.
Phil.
You know me. Usually, if it's my business, I'll put it out there. But this is someone else's.
So you think that Phil's going to compete this year?
No, not Phil.
Flex Lewis?
Dave, you're going to keep trying until you get me in trouble.
Well, where's Flex? Where do you think Flex Lewis is going to compete this year? Because he had said he was going to wait till next year.
No, not Flex Lewis. No, You're going to get me in trouble, man. Just stop prying. Because
who's he talking about, Chris? Chris must know because you tell Chris everything.
Jay's coming back. He's making a comeback. You heard it first. No, I'm dead serious. So yeah, and I have this conversation with Chris all the time because Chris is like, oh, it doesn't matter what show, who's doing it, or don't worry about what anyone else is doing. But it does matter, and I feel like a big part of when you're trying to qualify for the Olympia, picking what show you do, if you'd like to be a one and done and qualify, it does matter because I can diet my whole year and then enter a show and a past previous Mr. Olympia enters. It doesn't matter if I
then go to one of those crazy shows they're holding in like Romania or something like that and win.
Well, the Romania show is after the Olympia. I thought about that.
No.
I thought it'd be really cool too because then me and Regan can go against each other. But no, it's after the Olympia.
But they probably have another crazy show during the year sometime you can go to that no one in their right mind would fucking travel to.
Yeah, I look. There's.
Doesn't Sean Roden have one in Thailand or something like that? He's doing Philippines.
Yeah, no open shows. It's just maybe if I go down to men's physique, then I can do it. But there's no open.
Sergio, you're the best. We love talking to you, and I'm glad to hear you're doing well and you're looking huge. It was good seeing you at the Arnold Classic last week, and have fun in Australia.
Thanks, guys. I will. I promise. When I come back, it'll be the best ever.
I believe you. You always deliver.
Well, yeah. Look who I got in my team. It's Chris. I can't. It's easy to be cocky and confident when you have Chris doing all the work for you.
Chris, do you tell him that you did like you told Jay he was going to win the Olympia? Have you told that to Sergio yet?
What do you let Sergio answer?
Has he told you?
No, yeah, Chris gave me a really great compliment after I got off the Olympia stage. You can tell because I've heard Chris give some compliments to a couple. He said something to one of the guys who did the Arnold. I'm not going to say any names, but you definitely know he was definitely blowing smoke up this guy's ass. But you can tell sometimes when Chris says stuff and it's actually genuine. And he said that when I came out at the Olympia stage, that he had already thought that, you know what, I could maybe do something at some point in the future. But when I came out, he was like, wow. Yeah, obviously at that time I'm not going to be winning the show, but he could tell by looking at me that day that maybe in the future that I could win it one day, and that meant a lot. As long as you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Chris, I'll tell you one thing I know about Chris. Chris doesn't bullshit anyone. So if he said that to you, he meant it.
I believe it, but I'm gonna challenge Chris because he said because no matter what show I do this year, I am going to do the Arnold next year, 100%. Yeah. So
why don't you just wait till the Arnold and just skip the whole year?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But that's only if you're gonna continue to train. You're not gonna jerk off, while you're.
Right. No. I'm definitely done with that life. But no, he said Rafael's gonna win the Arnold next year. So I'm gonna put Chris.
364 days he could win the Arnold.
He could, right?
I mean, a lot of people could.
I think that would be a good victory for you, Sergio. I think if you could win the Arnold, that would give you tremendous stock increases in your. And what people, how they evaluate you and everything. I think you got the tool set to be Mr. Olympia. I think Chris and I were talking about this before. There's a lot of mindset involved with winning Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, that you don't even realize that until you actually are.
No, yeah.
When you do that. Because when you're a kid and you start this off, it's like, man, I can eat tilapia. I can do cardio. And it's like, yeah, everyone fucking does that. It's how you balance your other shit. Right. And doing this at the same time. So yeah, but really the fact that we've made it to the top 16 in the world and my life was literally falling apart, I'm so excited to see what's going to happen when it's not. I already have my speech ready for Arnold. I already know. I got to top Cedric's Arnold speech. That's my only goal in life.
That might be harder than winning the Olympia. I got news for you.
I think I got it. I can't promise on the physical part, but the verbal part, I think I got it.
If I had to bet on anyone beating Cedric's speech, it would be you for sure. Because
that's awesome.
The difference is Cedric has been rehearsing his for the last 10 years, though. Thanks a lot, Sergio, for calling in. And like I said, keep us updated. We'll have to get you on maybe are you going to watch the show, actually?
Of course. Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, so we'll get you for an official wrap-up next week. How about that?
All right, let's do it. I love it, man.
Love you, man. Thanks.
Later.
Bye. Yeah, that's Sergio, man. He is he's phenomenal. He's good. He's good TV. He's good radio. He can do anything. He actually had himself Skyped in like he was going to be on the TV show. I said, Sergio, we're doing a radio show here. I don't need. Although it was nice to look at him because I was watching him the whole time while I was talking. I was watching his mannerisms.
He's fidgety.
I like his mannerisms because I get a better read on on his authenticity, what he's saying. But he's so authentic that it's unbelievable, right?
Yeah, no, totally agree.
Yeah, I agree with everything he says. It'll be interesting. So, who the hell do you think he's talking about with the Mr. Olympia making a comeback? What was he talking about?
I don't know.
What Mr. Olympia could be making a comeback that he can actually worry about, Maybe Dexter Jackson, but Dexter hasn't stopped competing.
Oh yeah, it's Dexter. It's Dexter doing a show that he might want to do that he can't. He knows
probably Dexter wants to do like Tampa or something like that.
Yeah.
Because Dexter said he was going to win one more show, right? He has to get one more to get 30 wins. I think that would be a perfect show to do with Dexter. Imagine he beats Dexter. That talk about stock going through the roof. Why not? Right?
Yeah. Got to get training.
Someone's got to beat Dexter. Why not Sergio? Talk about forget his Arnold's acceptance speech. If he ever beat Dexter, he'd be going around telling everyone he beat the best bodybuilder in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Beat the winningest bodybuilder in the world.
Yeah.
Good old Sergio. Well, it should be a great show this weekend. And once again, I want to wish Tony Doherty all the best. And I'm sure we'll get some drama over there in Australia to report on next week. We have Sergio in the trenches over there. We'll get him on for a full official wrap-up of all the action. Because Sergio will tell us what pictures and video can't tell us. He'll tell us all the behind-the-scenes gossip and who is saying what about who and who took a shit on the floor backstage. And he knows every little bit of gossip that goes on. Yeah, he knows all the stuff that no one ever hears about, too. And all you have to do is twist his arm a little bit and you'll get it out of him, too.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. You don't have to twist it. You just got to ask.
All right, Chris. I know we got a big week coming up. My son's got school tomorrow for the first time. Let's see if he makes it. I'm sure I'll have a funny story to tell. I'll try to document it on my Instagram feed. Everyone seems to enjoy I've been getting a lot of emails and texts from people saying that they enjoy watching the regular stuff.
Stories, every one of them.
Stories, yeah.
I see him riding a bicycle down the grocery store aisle at Walmart or Costco, wherever it is.
You know, if I only
see it
remembered
today with the crazy 900 fruit trees. Oh, so that you already talked about that.
Yeah. If I only remembered to record half the stuff I do. My life is actually pretty funny, the stuff that goes on. I'm always like, oh, I should have recorded that. I need like a film crew following me around.
Yeah, like Jay had that crew for a while.
You're right. But I'd have a gazillion followers if I did that. I just don't have the wherewithals to grab the phone and start filming, you know. I'm like, oh, I should have filmed that. Why didn't I film that? I'm like, why didn't I film that? I was eating that, they're giving out samples at the Super Bowl. I should have filmed that. I'm always like saying that to myself, and I'm like...
and what's Amanda say? You can't film everything, Dave.
No, she's the one who's always like, you film it. She doesn't want me on the phone like checking text messages, but filming, she's all for it. She's into reality TV. She loves reality TV.
Right.
That's all she watches.
What? The Housewives? She likes the Housewives?
I don't know if she watches. She watches. She's a purist. You know, she started out watching the Kardashians and all that stuff, and we watched some of that stuff. You know, the Kardashians, and we watched that show about the transgender girl, Jazz. All that. I'm Jazz, but she's the real purist in terms of reality TV. Watch the YouTube channels of these women that and men that do reality TV, like these women that have like 18 kids, you know, and they just basically talk about it's just their life, pampering the kids, diapering them, taking them to the doctor, you know, all the logistical issues that exist with having that many children and who's taking care of them and who's waking up and who's diapering them, and I find it completely boring, but she loves the reality stuff. So she thinks that, you know, I should abandon all the bodybuilding and just the reality of my life. You know, she thinks that I'll have more mainstream people, and she's probably right. But you know what they say, Chris: do what you know, right?
Right. That's right.
But anyway, that's all they wrote for this week. And will we see William Bonac regain that title of Arnold Classic champion? He lost it last week, obviously, to Brandon Curry. Brandon Curry not in the lineup. Can William hold off this lineup of guys that are looking to improve? We won't know until next week's show, of course, and then we will give you the full analysis as we always do. Chris, have a fun week. You're actually, this is the first week you're not doing anything. So
no, I'm home. Shoveling snow.
What are the kids doing?
The kids are in school.
Are they doing well?
Yeah, they're doing good. My 5-year-old started taking the bus. He's the first kid to take the bus. He said, when I picked him up, I said, "How was the bus?" He said, "Amazing."
Oh, he loved the bus. That's great.
Yeah. But you know what? He said, I asked him today. I said, "Are you looking forward to taking the bus tomorrow?" Because he said he loves it. He took it 3 times last week. And he said, "Only on the way home." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because you know I hate school."
Spoken like a true. I don't know many kids who like. I told my wife
he hates school. He said, matter of fact, I hate school. And then he holds it against my wife that he says, he always says, "Why don't you teach me at home like you did my brothers?"
He's lazy. That's why, right?
That's because he just wants to play at home. He has no intention of.
That's why your wife sent him to school. She knows better.
Yep.
She knows. How do the other kids like? Have they adjusted since from going homeschooling? Now they're going to high school and everything like that.
Well, they like it because there's girls there. That's all.
Okay. Well, that's
the only difference.
That's the only difference. Oh my God! Did when you go to school, like public school, after not going to public school your whole life? I mean, what do the other kids think? They're like, "What, did you just move here?" Is that what they think?
Well, no, because they know them from sports.
Oh, okay, all right, I got you.
You know, so they're familiar with them from having played, sports, because kids played with the, junior highs and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had this one girl in elementary school. She was in all my classes, and then she disappeared for junior high school, and then for high school she reappeared again. I'm like, "Where'd you go?"
They got pregnant. In those days, they used to just
no. They sent her to Catholic school for like 3 years, and I guess she hated it, so they put her back in public school, but. We were like, "What happened to you?" I didn't know what happened because there was no internet. No one could communicate with each other. She just disappeared for 3 years, So that was pretty funny. All right, I'm out of here. I got a lot of snakes to ship out tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff going on. Logan's going to school, and it's going to be a busy week. Good luck to all the Arnold Australia competitors, and it's that time. Until next week, Chris, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.